Hey guys, welcome to Shin Deep. I am Jaime Romo. Today's guest is Maurice Greene, veteran MMA fighter, kickboxer, friend of mine, and we also have our co-host Mark Entenberg. So we're gonna dive right into it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hey
Mo,
Maurice.
how you guys doing?
What's going on, man?
You know, just getting ready to fight, man.
Yeah, how's camp been?
It's been great, I'm healthy for the first time and shit. Since last season of the PFL, since I was in the PFL, my first fight I got hurt, and in the PFL, it's either you fight or you get cut, and you don't know if you're gonna be back next year, so you just bite down the mouthpiece and fight. So,
Sure.
um, so I'm excited. I get to throw elbows again. Haven't been able to do that for 2 years, maybe.
And this is the bare knuckle MMA, right?
Game bred,
Yeah.
bare knuckle
Yes.
MMA.
And
Yeah.
I think we talked a few months back, or no, a little bit longer than that. You were scheduled to be on Game Bread back when I was doing BKFC camp.
Yep.
How do you feel now about like doing? Because I know back then you were asking questions about like what it was like, but how do you feel in camp now, like all these months later?
Well, the first time was a interesting circumstance. I was supposed to fight Guto, who's also on this card. Um, it was kind of short notice. I was 290 pounds, cutting a ton of weight real fast. And it got canceled because he couldn't get a visa. And I ended up fainting, actually. Right after I walked out of my bathroom, I fainted. So maybe it was a blessing in disguise. However, when I saw Chase Sherman needed an opponent, you know, I had an itch to scratch. I already signed up to do it.
Right.
And as being a fighter, like sometimes when you sign up and you make that mental commitment to do something, you still want to do it.
For sure.
And that's why we're here today.
Yeah.
And I figured out the date. It sucks that I can't be out there to support my homie and John Jones in New York, but I also think it's great and very encouraging that we were both kind of in camp for the same weekend and we share the same fight week. So, I go out and handle my business and he's gonna go out and handle his business. So I'm excited, man. I really am.
That's awesome. And then with Chase Sherman, because he trained here for a bit, probably maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. I remember he was out here, and I feel like he's also had kind of. You guys are both veterans of multiple organizations. Yeah. So how is it? Do you have any feelings about that as Chase as your opponent, or was it just because you saw that he needed one, or did you want to fight him in particular?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Listen, this is a sport. It's how I feed my family. I don't got much time left. I'm 38. Maybe I want to be done by the time I'm 40. That's my personal goal. So especially doing bare knuckle MMA, it's not something that I want to have a long 15 fight bare knuckle career. I'm sorry, I just don't want to do that.
For sure.
So I want the fights that are going to get me closest to that title. That are going to be closer to junior, right? Chase has won a couple. Chase was a BKFC champ. Chase is seasoned. He's a tough fight. He's a good win.
Yes.
He's a good win for me to state my claim to fight junior. But right now, all of my energy and focus is on Chase Sherman and finishing that fight.
How's the mindset been? Like, how long has it been in fight camp? Because when was the last time that you
I was in fight camp for the last time I actually fought was August of last year, and that's when I fought Hennon.
Yeah.
And I suffered my only knockout in my career. I took quite some time off to heal the things that weren't feeling good, and I was gonna take that fight probably a little before, so there was a lot of nerves there, right? But I feel like I prepared for it. Actually, not. I feel like I know I prepared correctly for this. I'm already at weight. I'm heavier than I normally run, but I've been carrying this weight and training for months and months and months. So I'm confident, I'm strong, I'm healthy, ready to fucking get to it. Straight up.
For sure.
My mindset is just, speak it into existence. You know, there's no negativity. There's just nothing negative in my mind. You know, um, I keep to myself most of the time. Stay in my thoughts. That's the only thing that I can really fix from now until fight night is my mental. You know, making my mental, putting that wall up, that shield up over that mental, um, which is going to be a big part of biting down and winning fights. Like I tell people this all the time. The difference between the MMA and bare knuckle MMA is when I get hit in the face with a glove on, it feels like this, right? Like you feel it all here. It may hurt, but you feel it here. But when I get hit in the face with a bare knuckle, and you know this better than me, when you get hit in the eye, you get a knuckle in the eye. You know what I mean? You get a knuckle in the eye. You got now you don't have that clean plane. Now we're talking about rigid planes. I'm feeling 2 knuckles, 3 knuckles. I don't know much about that feeling, but I'd like to find out.
No, I mean, I mean, 100%. I think like also being in the heavyweight division, it's a lot different than for like in featherweight or lighter divisions. Like, sure, there's tons of knockouts that happen, but you guys are thrown with such force that even without that, even playing like you're saying, like anything can.
And
Really
it doesn't
happen,
take
yeah.
much bare knuckle now.
Right. Yeah.
It's not going to take much. Like I've heard this several times from several different people. Like, Maurice, when you're against the cage and they do this, that counts, right? In MMA, I'm gonna let you hit me. That's stupid. It's like annoying, like
Right.
But in bare knuckle, that shit counts.
Yeah.
So you just have to be aware of that and be ready to transition, or know when. All right, I'm not getting this. I got to move to something else, or I got to. So, we've been gracious enough to have the greatest in the room. With John Jones and his camp and all the training partners we've had over the years and the guys he brings in. So there's not a lack of talent, or there's not a lack of knowledge. There's not a lack. The coaches I work with have won multiple world championships. So there's not a lack of knowledge to gain or to get better. There's none of that. So I'm just, man, I'm excited to finally get back to it. It makes me feel alive when I get in there. At 38 years old, like when you hop in there with, well, he's a old dog too. But what I'm saying is, at 38 years old, to hop in there under bright lights, whether they cheering or they're booing, I don't know. It makes me feel alive. I didn't grow up. I wasn't a great athlete growing up. This started at 24, and I was 330 pounds, and I did it to lose weight.
Yeah.
So, and it turned into a 14+ year career.
Yeah, to be honest, like I didn't know that at all. So if you could jump back to that, that'd be
okay.
Like, yeah, because sometimes, like, especially because I've known you since I've known you, you've been a pro fighter at a high level.
Facts.
So yeah, I'd love to hear about that.
So actually, I had a clothing line back in Chicago called Monkey Business Decor. That's why I said "Die Free, Live Fresh" on my wrist. And I had a buddy come to me. He goes, "Mo, you should do some jiu-jitsu." About 330 pounds. I had just met my wife, and he said, "You should do some jiu-jitsu." I'm like, "All right." So I went and did a couple, and then my other buddy came. He's like, "Hey, I'm throwing a fight at the local college, Mo. You a big guy. You want to do it?" Well, my friends in Chicago used to call me Reese Cup. They said, nigga, you soft. So
Best candy.
I'd
be pissed if I was pissed.
So in an effort to show my friends in Chicago that, yo, what's up? I can get down. I took the fight. He's like, "Mo, you got 30 days. I said, all right. He goes, "You have to go to a gym." So I went to Wrecking Ball Fight Facility. And they was like, "We want our guys to train longer. Listen, this is what we'll do. You're not going to step out of the fight. We don't want to see you there with nobody. We'll send 2 guys to corner you. However, you can't represent the gym because we don't think you're ready. But we get it."
Yeah, and that's a fair. I think that's a fair.
I wasn't upset.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
but a lot of gyms won't do that. So it's cool that they actually.
They sent 2 guys to corner me. He just said, "I just don't think you're ready."
Right.
And you can represent the gym when you're ready.
For sure.
So I TKO'd dude in the 3rd round. I was about 270 pounds. I got from 330 down to about 270. It was super heavyweight. TKO'd him. If you see it on YouTube, boy, my belly was talking. You ever see that dude on Instagram that be doing the belly? That's what my shit was doing all fight. Straight up. That's how big I was. And that was just the start of it. You know, I took another fight real fast. I think I took 9 amateur fights in less than 2 years. And then I went pro, took a couple pro fights. I had the opportunity to go fight for Glory. So I stopped doing MMA because Glory was paying me like 10 to 20K at the time.
Right.
That's good eating.
Yeah.
And
quarterback in the day was dope.
Right?
Like I still love
year was
Glory.
that?
I was on Glory 11, Chicago. I think I made my debut for Glory at the Sears Center in Hoffman Estates in Illinois the same night Rico Verhoeven beat Saki, and I believe he beat Daniel Guita and won the tournament, and he's had the belt since then. Yeah. I got to see all those fucking legendary kickboxers fight.
They were in the same time as Pereira.
I got to watch him fight.
Yeah.
I knew about Israel Adesanya. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Now to see a lot of those guys now, it's like, wow.
You were in Glory in the Glory days.
I was in Glory in the Glory. That was right after K1.
Yes.
Glory was the next one.
I loved when they did those last man standing tournaments. Those were sick. But, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah,
no, you're fine.
Yeah.
I took second place and I did a one-night tournament. 3-5, fought 3 times.
That's
I ran into Xavier Vigny in the final, and he finished 2 guys early. And I had just went through a 3-round war and won a decision. So he was fresh. I had to go in the back and sit down, put my legs up. Yo, it's a wild experience to fight 3 times in one night. But it's fun, though.
For sure.
I think they should, one of my coaches back in the day, Brock Larson, did an MMA tournament, won. That's that video you see him running from Melvin Manhoff.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys know he won that fight, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw it out there. I know it looked like he was getting his ass whooped, but he won that fight. Shout out Brock Larson. I miss you, Coach. Love you, man.
Yeah. So you're okay. So now you're in Glory. What's next?
I transitioned back to MMA because
what was the catalyst that made you decide to not continue kickboxing?
I always wanted. MMA was always the goal.
Okay.
I was making more money in Glory. I had told the wife when she told me she was pregnant, like right after I started fighting. I told her, I said, "Babe, this is it. I'm not going back to college, so this is gonna have to work." And then I went back into MMA, and I was working at Capital One in Minnesota full time. And right across the street was our gym. So on my lunch break, I'd go do jiu-jitsu, come back, shower, go back to work overtime. After work, go back across the street for class. Like that was my grind. And I didn't see the family a whole lot. I'd be gone before the kids woke up. Some of the times they'd be asleep by the time I got home. And that went on for years. And then Capital One kind of threw me a blessing. And it was like, they put us all in this room, and it was like 21 of us on the team. They pulled like 15 of us in the room or something like that. And it was like, well, because they had only 9 positions, right, for the management team. So only 9 of us got promoted, everybody else. They offered us either a severance, and then they offered us a demotion, but we kept our pay and all that stuff. I said, fuck that, I'm not doing it. So the same day they told me, I was like, wait, you guys are going to pay me to not be here for real? And how long we talking? So all right. So you're going to pay me every 2 weeks for 60 days, okay? But then you're going to give me a 4 or 5 month lump sum? Yeah, I'll take that. That's what I told her. I talked to the wife. She said, babe, they're paying you to chase your dream. Do it.
Yeah.
So I told them I'll take that. They told me straight like this. Maurice, we're going to give you guys 2 weeks to make the decision. Okay. I said, but I know right now. I said, I know right now. So he said, don't get fired, Maurice. Literally what he told me. Don't get fired. It was tough, man. It was tough. I didn't get fired, huh?
Were they trying to get people to get fired?
No, they just knew I didn't want to be there no more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was in Minnesota, and you know how it works when you're with something small.
Mm-hmm.
You got a handful of black people. Only one could get promoted. You can only have one on the management team and one. Let me stop. In Minnesota, though. So, it went from love to, like, fuck this shit, because I was closer to UFC. And then I walk into the gym after I took the severance. I started training full time with Brock. I walk into the gym, and Brock Larson goes, "Woo! Mo, did you see the Ultimate Fighter? You're going." So, what do you mean? He goes, "I have another heavyweight season." He goes, "Mo, you're going." So, Brock Larson knows Mick Maynard because he used to matchmake for him when Legacy Fighting Championship came to Minnesota. So Brock reached out to Mick. They got a good relationship. And he goes, "Get him here." I got there. I had to get it. When you go to trial for tough, you have to get through the grappling and the striking. Once you get through that, it's on you. It's going to come down to what the TV thought. So, of course, I was crocheting. So while we were sitting there in line all day, I just brought a bunch of yarn and I was just crocheting. So all these producers and fighters, everybody's just watching me make hat after hat after hat. So by the time I got into the room, I had like 3 hats. They was like, "You made that?" So yeah, while we was here, we were just sitting around all day. So, and then when I left there, I was like, I made it on the show. Because I can do everything that all these other guys can do. I can do everything that they can do. But I crochet. I don't care what you say. I'm 6'7", I'm black. I crochet better than your grandma, though. I'm pretty damn good at crochet. So, man, that was the start of it. Went on Ultimate Fighter. I tried not to show my ass on there. I tried to quit smoking my cigarettes, but they got all that alcohol there, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is, I come home on lunch. I was 250. We had a keg on tap.
In the house?
Yeah, keg on tap. Yes. Listen, you ask someone for like a ribeye steak, that shit may come the next day.
Right.
If I need a bottle of Hennessy, that bitch will be there in 30 to 40 minutes, baby. We had this thing that I wish we had in real life. We had a list. It's crazy. You just write it on the list, and then it'll show up in my cubby. It's really cool. That's the one thing I wish I could have back in life.
How long were you cut? So I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but you were cut off from like the world while you're doing
6 weeks.
6 weeks, and that's no cell phones, no nothing.
They took So once we got to Palace Station, they take your cell phone, wallet, money, all that shit.
Gotcha.
They check you in a hotel, but they keep the card. You can't leave the room.
So how was that? What was it? What was that like? Because I know you said you obviously.
Shit. Well, we went audition, so I met a bunch of the people, and then I kind of figured out who was on, and then like it was me, Macy, Panny. I think Justin Frazier was with us. Once we got there, we figured out which rooms. All right, I'm about to come down right now. So I pulled the little lock thing out, and we just closed the door, because then you got to call. If you get locked out, you got to call production. Production's mad because these interactions, it makes sense. These first interactions, they want to get on camera. So if we kind of know each other, because we've been hanging out, we were at Pap Station for what? 4 days, something like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't just one night. So they didn't want you to, they wanted to get all that first, getting to know each other on camera. But, we bypassed that. We ended up getting caught watching a movie. And one of the rooms, like 6 of us. It was like, "Guys, you can't do this. You can't be doing this." It was pretty funny.
4 days is a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do nothing. We couldn't go down to the pool. There's nothing. So.
What season was this?
28.
28.
28 with Gaston. I was on Gaston's team, Gaston Whitaker, who never ended up fighting. I think. Did they? No.
I don't remember.
Gaston ended up fighting.
They fought Adesanya.
He fought Adesanya. Yeah, I think that.
And then
I don't think he ever fought Whitaker.
I don't think so either. We'll have to verify, but yeah, I think you're right. Because Gaston was jumping between 70 and 85, quite a bit.
Oh, I remember, man. I remember we did they was bogus for the, on Ultimate Fighter how you have like the competition. Man, that was not set up for my team to win. We went to a track at UNLV. It was hot than a bitch. We had the tent set up with food and drinks, but they had to run. The coaches had to run.
I remember watching that.
Bruh.
And it was a heavyweight season, making heavyweights run?
No, it wasn't heavyweights. It was Calvin and
it was them
the
too.
coaches had to
Oh,
run.
okay.
Like the coaches challenge.
Yes,
Yeah.
the coaches
Gotcha.
challenge. But Calvin Gasly, he just wasn't ready for all that. We got there, I was like, bro, we ain't about to win. Coach goes, Calvin Gasly goes, hey guys, I'm gonna do my best. I was like, damn, we couldn't do like a home run derby or like we couldn't do something. You had to do running. And here comes Whitaker. He got the track outfit on, ready to go. He looked like he could run for a long time. And he smoked him. He did. And Calvin threw up. And we all ran with him. I got out there and we finished it up. He finished it. But I think, yeah, Whitaker smoked because that's what Rob Whitaker does. So, but it was a great experience, man. I mean, I still talk to Justin Frazier to this day, actually. Still talk. Although I do think Justin Frazier should have got a shot at the UFC. He was the last pick in an Ultimate Fighter like Calvin Gastelum was, and he made it to the finale. He beat Anderson Silva, and then he beat Michel Batista first, and a former Olympic wrestler. And then he beat Anderson Braddock Silva, the kickboxer, to make it to the finale to fight Juan Espino, who, that was a tough fight too. Juan was strong as shit. And his wrestling's real good. So, I mean, that's what kicked it off. And then because I made it to the semis, I got an opportunity to fight on the finale. And I fought the Cuban wrestler, and I finished in my triangle choke. I got two fucking records in the UFC history books, baby. Which is dope.
Yeah.
And I got one of the dirtiest knockouts in tough history.
Yeah.
However, maybe they don't give it to me because PM was a light heavyweight that got on the. But I feel like if you choose to be on the heavyweight season, you think you could beat us.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
I've learned that lesson. There's one time that I took a fight against someone who's way bigger than me and did not go my way. It was
Really?
close. Yeah. And I didn't know until the night of, because I didn't see him. It was in Thailand. And, But I remember when I lost that fight, so guy was probably good 30, 40 pounds bigger than me. And that makes a big difference when you're in the lighter weight divisions. Like, he was a big motherfucking guy.
Shit.
Yeah.
30, 40 pounds?
Oh, yeah. I'll show you guys the picture.
What was he? 3 weight
Yeah,
classes
what
above you?
So I probably was walking around like 160. And the way it works is, so all of a sudden the trainer showed me the poster, and the guy's name's Rambo. And he's from South Africa, right? And that was kind of unusual because at the time it was usually foreigner against Thai. So they had 2 foreigners in the main event. So it's cool. And then a buddy of mine messaged me, and they're like, I think I've seen that dude, and that dude is massive. And I was like, so I asked one of the trainers, and they're like, no, he's big, like short. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll just head kick this dude. He's just short and jacked. That's perfect. Cool, no problem. So get ready for this fight, and then drive up to the stadium on my scooter, and literally like outside the stadium, like before like the fights start, like everyone's kind of out there, they're drinking, and before they go in, I see one tall person out of everybody, and it was that dude, and he to me looked like fucking Shaq, like in that moment. And obviously they say like you make the wolf as the wolf appears as big as you make it,
Facts.
So obviously like. But unfortunately, like when you look at the picture, the guy was fucking huge.
Hey,
like,
but in real life, he was fucking huge.
But what I learned that day is that like I made the decision because everyone was like, "Dude, don't do it." And I was like, "I'm gonna do it." And in my head, like, didn't go my way, but I can't complain that like, oh, that dude fought someone way smaller than him, because if I knocked him out, like, I would have been fucking honking my horn, like, yo, I took on this huge dude.
There you go.
So I stepped in and I paid the price, pay to play.
Yeah. Okay.
And like,
okay.
and so it's kind of like that flipped role.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't hate on him. First of all, I don't know if he knew my size or not. But at the end of the day, it's like you get what you get. I mean, sometimes like especially like certain fights, like I've gotten. I mean, everyone's has had opponents that are better shape, worse shape. Sometimes it doesn't matter. I've gotten some guys that looked to not be in shape, but hit hard as shit. And they want to fight.
You see that all the time.
Yeah,
you see it when
for
there's
sure.
a guy in Bellator. He did the big tuna or something like that.
Oh, yes.
Big homie don't look like a
Yes.
bit of nothing.
Who?
But he will
he
get
fought Christian.
down.
Yeah, he fought Christian. And
He'll get down.
for
I've seen
sure.
him on several occasions.
Yeah.
At first glance, you're like, I'm about to smoke this And then you get to it and don't get it twisted, man. Some of these, I never underestimate people by their look.
For sure.
I've learned that in MMA, like doing combat sports, I've learned to never underestimate anybody, period. You know,
Absolutely.
that's probably one of the biggest gems I have, right?
Yeah.
I don't underestimate nobody.
Yeah.
And I'm not, just because I'm bigger than you, I also don't act like, you know, I'm about to shit this motherfuckers your signs that'll put it on me.
Oh, for sure.
Shit.
Yeah.
You know, and some of them may have more grit. Some of them, you know, you never know. So, I'm grateful to be a combat sports athlete. It really kind of humbled me in a sense where it's like I don't feel like I have to like fight and prove myself
Right.
ever. I just don't feel like I have to prove myself. Like I fight my draws on TV.
For sure.
And sometimes you win some, you lose some. You know, and yeah, there's nothing to prove. I'm proving everything to myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm grateful for that.
And that's so cool that I mean, not that many people have been able to, you know, have those different roots and those different organizations like you have. Like that's super cool in of itself. You know what I mean? Like to be able to be a vet of so many different things along that road. You know, so I think that's fucking rad.
Everything's about perspective, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
you know, because like don't get me wrong, like sure, it'd be cool to have one straight up the mountain path.
And
right?
the UFC just boom.
But at the same time, like you've been able to like be in Glory in the Glory days, be on Ultimate Fighter. Like these are all like notches on your hat.
Yeah,
like,
we were the last season in the iconic gym too.
Yeah,
28 was
like,
the last season at that old gym.
For sure.
Where they had the first Ultimate Fighter, and I thought that was pretty fucking dope too.
Yeah.
You know.
And one, yeah, like, and one, I guess for me, like, I was like, kind of always want to get people's perspective on this because, like, I mean, like we said, like, we're grateful for being combat athletes, but I know there's had to be dark moments in there, you know, like the dark patches along the way. And
It always is.
yeah, what for you? What do you think? How's that process been? And does it matter for you based on win or losses? Because one thing I've noticed is sometimes like those patches come even after a win. You know, like in the sense of when.
Oh, I'd fall into depression after.
Yeah.
I was 3-0. I'll put
sure.
it like this.
Yeah.
Got to the UFC, right? Won by triangle choke. And then I got an opportunity to fight Jeff Hughes on short notice. I had lost to Jeff Hughes for the LFA title right before I got the offer to get on Ultimate Fighter, right? So I watched him win his contract on the Contender Series while I was on the Ultimate Fighter. I was his first fight in the UFC. He was my second fight in the UFC. Fought him on short notice. I was out of shape. Got to win, right? So, short story shorter, I was 3-0 in the UFC, and I don't think I've ever been as depressed. I was just depressed, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know what. I'd sleep all day, and I don't know what it was. But you know, some of my best times in the UFC, I actually didn't win some of those fights. You know, sometimes I do better when I don't feel the best. You know, the scariest part is, excuse me. The scariest part is this is the thing about MMA, man, that I've learned. Yeah, I've had an up and down career. Like, very up and down. Sometimes when I'm on, I'm on. When I'm off. Maybe win one, lose one. You know, there hasn't been anything solid. However, I never understood when I was younger, like, what enjoy the journey was, right? I never understood that. You know, all I knew is I got a child to feed. You know, we had my son at the time. Got a child to feed. If I can't do this, I can't make no money like this doing anything else. I gotta go back to college. You know, I'm not. It's not that I'm not book smart. It's just school's tough for me. Sure. The way my brain thinks, school don't mix in with how school teaches. So those dark days come from the unknown, man. You know, but if you look at like MMA, think about it this way. This is how I also think about it. Could you imagine if all the MMA fighters had money like the NFL athletes? You would never fucking see dog fights. You would never feel that hunger, right? And there's a fine line between it, right? But the reality is, they get so many great fights because these guys are out here trying to eat. And in order until you can really eat, you gotta string together some wins and some performances. And that's always the hardest thing, man. I know I felt fucking when I went to Singapore, I felt great going to fight Sergey Pavlovich. Shit didn't go my way. Shit didn't go my way. Got stopped early. I felt great when I fought Greg Hardy. Shit didn't go my way. He got stopped early. Black on black crime. It was black on black crime. Herb Dean, I love you though, Herb. I do. But I do call that black on black crime.
You thought it was early?
It was definitely early. I was moving when Greg was hitting me. See, this is what Coach said, right? Coach Greg Jackson at the time. The goal was with Greg is to gas him out. He got asthma. You know, I needed him to have an attack for me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I just mean that in the sense I was trying to win the fight, okay? I'm not trying to be malicious, but I needed him to have an asthma attack. And I was getting him tired. But the plan wasn't to be getting punched in the face while I was getting tired. Okay?
Yeah.
I was moving, and Herb stopped it. I was moving. I think it's, I was like, ah. And sometimes when you do that in fights, they take that as a verbal submission, which sucks. But, and then Sergey, I think it was just, he flew in late, the time difference, nigga was tired, he wasn't all there. Because when Sergey dropped me the second time, he grabbed Sergey from the back. He couldn't even see me laying on the ground. I was waiting for Sergey to come into my guard because he had dropped me and I stood up, right? And he dropped me again. I was like, fuck this, I'm about to stand up again so he does that flurry, and whatever lands is deadly. So I was like, fuck this. However, he could have knocked me out on the ground, but I don't think so. He ain't got no jiu-jitsu. He barely got wrestling. So, but it is what it is, man. You take all that with a grain of salt, and I think of it this way: I'm still fighting. Like I'm still at it, right? If anything, I'm training at a higher level than I was then. Literally, the thing about the PFL that sucks is elbows. It sucks to not have. It's a huge loss. Huge loss. You know what I mean? So it's nice to get those back. You know, it's nice to get those back. I'm excited to get those back. Yeah, I'm excited to get those back.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of starting that new chapter, just like all those other, like you said,
we just turned the page. We're on this is chapter 14 or 15.
With one of the best teams, group of guys that there is.
But we got such a
better room than that room,
And I'll be honest with you, last night when I didn't expect, I didn't expect to do that. But there's times when you just got to turn it on. Like, you just got to find a way. Like, this is MMA. You got to find a way. Like, they caught me totally off guard, but they weren't wrong. I needed it. I actually did need it. But to have the guys around me screaming, encouraging, like hearing that, I could pick out voices. So I knew who was talking to me. There's a couple points that just stood out. It was great. It was an awesome feeling. Awesome feeling, especially right at the end of camp. It's a great feeling to go into fight week knowing that, hey, bro, all your homies, all your homeboys and brothers and everybody in that room's behind you. We got a great group of guys, man. We have a great group of men, period.
For sure.
Good chemistry in the room. That's really what it is. Egos are checked at the door. Good chemistry. We're all we got one goal is that for everybody to get better, right? Everybody come out with a win, and nobody to come out getting hurt, right? Train smart and hard, but be smart first, right? You know what I mean? We could train hard and be dumb as hell. For a long time, I'm sure you know it. You may know too. For a long time, I thought you had to go in the room and get used to, like, not getting beat up, but if somebody was beating you up, it was one of the things like, all right, you got to get used to it.
Sure. It's not.
To the body, yes. I feel like
We get one.
to the body, you can rip the body. Go ahead, rip the body. But to the head, though, I forget a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I be talking, and I just forget mid-sentence. And I just be like, so, you want to be a fighter? But this is what you deal with, right?
Yeah, no,
I got a tooth that's about to fall out. Guess what? From MMA.
yeah,
All from MMA. Like, you just, it's not, this is not a sport that if my son doesn't want to do it, it's not a sport I want to push him into.
right.
You know, he got to come to me. He got to want to do it, you know. Um, yeah, he has to want to do it. And if he wants to do it, guess what? Daddy's here for you. What do you want to do? You know. So that being said, I'm bringing my son with me for the first time ever this fight.
Wow.
He's 13. He's about the size of a grown ass man. Big homie, 5'7", 200 pounds. He's the size of a grown ass man. And yeah, man, he knows his dad's been a fighter for so long. He's seen it on TV. I've been away. I want him to be there fight week to experience it with me. And I had to explain to him, like, yo, you understand that there's always a possibility Daddy could get really hurt, right? But I'm gonna be all right. He said, yeah, Dad, I understand. He goes, I want to be there. So I'm like, bet. So, yeah, man, I think it just adds a little extra motivation for me. You know, my son's gonna be right there. He knows what's going on. You know, hopefully it invokes something in him, or it makes him feel some type of way to do something, whether it's sports or he plays the tenor sax pretty damn good. I started playing the saxophone myself. I thought my saxophone was just off. I'm like, Jack, my saxophone don't sound right. He's like, nah, Dad, it's you. I'm like, nah. He goes, nah, Dad, you know, I've been playing longer. I think it's just you. I'm like, nah. Boy, that boy grabbed my saxophone. And he started playing that motherfucker. That shit sounded good as hell. And then I realized it's me. I realized it's me. So, you know, whatever he wants to do, the one thing is he's got to watch Dad's journey, right? So, you know, Mom chose the school route, right? She's getting her master's. Dad chose the figure it out route, you know.
Really acting and stuff as well.
Also, yeah, doing acting. Recently,
You pursue those dreams.
joined the SAG union, got my SAG card, which is excellent.
Congrats,
Thank you. That's a retirement plan, man. It still puts me in a creative space. You know, I crochet, I make coasters, I do all types of creative shit. Um, it still keeps me in that creative space, so I can be myself on screen. You know, a lot of these roles that I'm being casted for, it's myself in a nutshell. Like, it's my character.
Right.
And man, it's been going well. It's been a little over 2 years. I mean, I probably done. It's not even a lot, but during the pandemic and everything, probably done about 130, 140 auditions. You know, only landed a handful of them. Though is the reality of it. Yeah, only was able to book a handful of them. That's the reality of it, though, right? But I think I did before I even booked. I think I probably did 80 some auditions. You want to know how I learned? I had a buddy who's an actor, and he kind of just gave me tips and tricks. No formal training. You know, I looked at stuff online, but everybody I've ran into says, Maurice, you got a character. Just be you. Be you. They want you. You know, so I'm learning. I'm still learning and developing, and that's where I'm going to put a lot of my energy, you know, where once once I'm done with MMA. You know, this chapter's going to close soon enough. I'm 38. I got 2 more years, tops, and I'm going to be out by 40. I'm gone by 40. You know, my kids are getting older. I want to experience. I want to be there for them for their things. You know, because I do MMA, my son can't, like, he wants to wrestle, and they don't have. Back in the day, they had schools in the school, middle school. They had a wrestling team at the middle school, right?
Yeah.
They got club wrestling now.
They don't have middle school wrestling anymore.
I think that's a big thing here. Yeah, just clubs.
No.
Yeah.
Now,
High
I
school.
used to live in Minnesota. Yeah, they probably got middle school, elementary, youth, super youth. The kids is like 1.5. They teaching them something.
Right.
But here it's just not like that. You got 2 wrestling clubs across town, and you know, I just told Jack he really does want to do it, and
I had no idea.
and he has to. Like, he has to. I think sports are good for young men, but wrestling brings a boy to a young man to a man. Like, I feel like that's the longest 6 minutes of your life. That 2 minutes that you're wrestling seems like 5. From what I can remember, that 2 minutes per period seems like 5. And I want them to feel that, man. I think it's important.
For sure.
I think it's very important that they feel that. I hate to say it like this, but you know, it's cute for little boys when they're small, right? It's cute, 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 cute. And then there comes to a point like Jack's. Almost, my son's almost there. You know, he's young, but he looked like he's about 16, 17. And I told him, "You're a young man. The sympathy starts to go away, big dog."
Right.
Nobody gives a fuck at a certain point, you know. And the wife's like, "Hey, why would you say that?" Like, you got it. You got to let these young men know. Like, yo, you got to let these young men know. So I want him to get to a point where he can wrestle, and that's the goal.
You want to talk about that a little bit more? What do you mean by that? Like the sympathy thing, like as like being a man.
So you know how young boys do stuff like, oh yeah, he's just a boy. Oh, you can't do that, Walter. Gina, leave Walter alone. Walter, come here. Sit down. You're on timeout. Like all that nice stuff goes away when you get to that man, and then Muscle will talk to you and treat you like you a man.
Because
Like,
you know better.
Because you know better. Hey, and it's cool to say I'm young and I'm a man. But once you are a man, motherfuckers say you a babe, you a kid. It's disrespectful as shit. You know? So my goal is to have this my young man grow up knowing like, hey fam, move accordingly, you know. Just cause you're bigger than I say this too. I bring it send it to my son. Just cause you're bigger than everybody in school, don't mean you gonna whoop all their asses. You know? Be smart. This is not Minnesota. Albuquerque's not Minnesota. Okay, it's two different. These kids at his age are shit. I met somebody. I think this kid was like 14 or 13. Night and day difference from my child. Night and day. I would have thought like I just couldn't believe this child was 13, 14. You know what I mean? You know, I went to my son at in that moment. I had to go tell my son, see the difference. I said, Jack, you're very much so a young man. Keep that as long as you can, because once it's gone, it's just gone. It's not coming back.
Right.
It's not coming back. So enjoy it right now. You know.
It's kind of listening, like you're applying almost to yourself with like your career at this point.
Yeah.
You're enjoying it now.
I
Because
did-
it's not coming back.
It's not coming back.
Yeah.
Like, it got so bad when I was training, it just felt like a job and I wanted out. But I had to. You know, I had to. I don't have to. I want to.
It's huge.
You know, I don't have to. I want to. You know, I get the privilege to go and train with the greatest coaches, the greatest fighter, and the greatest no-gi jiu-jitsu practitioner in Gordon Ryan, and an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. He's been wrestling his whole life. You know, I get to do those things. And for a long time, he said, I have practice. I have to be at practice. And I know I get to be at practice. You know, I get to, now I had to work my ass off to show I was, you know, I was supposed to be in that room, right? But I still get to do that, you know? So at 38 years old, what I don't take for granted is how much time I have left and what I spend my time doing in the sport, because it's coming to a close, okay? At 24 years old, 25, when I, you know, in my 30s, when I got early 30s, I got into the UFC. I thought this was fucking forever. You know, and a lot of us do, right? We work so fucking hard we work so hard to get an opportunity, right? And once we get it, we like, shit, it's gonna be forever. And then life humbles you when they cut you. You get that call. I think I cried when the UFC called me. Got right back on my horse though. Took one fight, ended up in PFL. And shit, I fought all the tough guys at PFL. Lost to him. Should have won. I actually should have beat out today. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Lesson learned. Okay. But, I've been able to create this. It's been up and down, up and down, up and down, up. It's like a fucking roller coaster of emotions on this fucking ride. But
I just wanted to circle back to like your
yeah,
UFC days. So can you just talk about like the highs? Like you said, you run that 3-fight win streak, right? The highs, and then you had some lows. So just talk about like how did that reflect in personal life? Like what were you going through? Do you feel like your life impacted that, or vice versa? The
your
win
life
streak?
always impacts it.
Yeah.
Like from being in a fight camp, your
Yeah.
life, like what you do day to day, and how happy you and your partner and kids, and how stressful life is, always affects that shit. Fight week, you got to be gone for a week. I got 2 kids and a wife. I got to figure out. She wasn't working; she was taking care of her kids. Got to make sure she got money. Got to make sure the bills. And when you're not winning fights, and you're on the edge of losing your job, you just don't know what's next, man. That unknown scared me for a long time. Now I embrace it, right? Now I embrace it. I account for it to happen possibly. I make arrangements. I've learned over the almost 15 years of fighting, like nothing's guaranteed in this game. So when it's good, you gotta get it while it's hot, because you can go on a skid and you may never get back. You know, I gained a bunch of weight recently. Shit, I didn't know if I was gonna make it back to MMA at all. At 290, I was going to practice, but shit, I was fat and happy. I was comfortable, right? But I did that. Then I saw something that said like, you know, comfort is a drug that men are given to make them forget about their dreams. And then I got my ass right back on the horse, like fuck that. So,
it's like what you said earlier too. You were talking about the grass is always greener where you water it.
yeah, for a long time, the grass is green on the other side. And people be like, oh, if you think the grass is green on the other side, then go over there. And then finally, I just realized the grass is just greener where you water it. If you want to water the other side, it's gonna be green over there. But if you want to water it on the side you're already on, because it's a little brown right now, go ahead and water it, get it back green, because you can work on it. And once I have a happier household dynamic, it makes it easy to go to practice. It makes it easy to fight. But when we go through it, we're human, right? We go through it with our partners, and I got 2 growing children. I got a parent, and yeah, it makes it harder to focus. But when the family's good and everything's straight, this part's easy. That's why I think it's a good camp for me. I felt great most of the camp. I took the much needed rest. Most of the time, I didn't realize I wouldn't eat enough food and I overworked my body, right?
For sure.
So by the time I get to the fight, yeah, I got a 6-pack. I'm doing this. I'm looking good. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I could have been eating. I was only 250. There are times I was 248, 245. I'm about 270. Big boy. So this is gonna be. I'm just excited, man.
Yeah, no.
I'm ready to fuck some shit up.
It's awesome that your son's going, and like even though what you just said, and I think it's a super interesting perspective of how you're saying when the family dynamic is better, it's easier to go to practice. Because on that flip side, sometimes when it's better, it's hard to go to practice because you're comfortable at home. You don't want to leave.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of something that I've kind of like had to grapple with. Is that flip side? Is that when things are good, I want to sit with my daughter longer. I want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
But when stuff is like chaotic, it's like thank
fuck
God
outta here.
I'm going to practice.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't mean I don't want to be around my family.
Yeah, I feel that.
But like you said, it's like
been there, been both sides. Both of us have.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like finding like that. I think for me, like with that perspective, listening to what you were saying about I get to go to practice. So not making it like I don't
Like
want
a
to leave
task.
them. I have to go do this. No, like it's great here, and now I get to go do this and come back to this.
Yes.
And like kind of
yes.
combining those mentalities.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there was a long time that, and this is real personal, but I don't give a fuck. This is
No,
like,
that's-
people should hear this. Me and my girl was in so much turmoil. I practiced so much because I just didn't want to be home. You know what I mean? But you don't realize how, like, not good it is for your mental, right? Like, the last thing I want to do is be upset thinking about home and how much I'm just irritated going into fight week. I've done it before. And won fights and lost fights. I've done it. But like I told my wife, I'm like, babe, time is like the one thing that we'll never get back. We can make money back, we can get possessions back, but our time and who we spend our time with and who we let in our space and to take up our time is all important. And the one thing I will not do is, and I tell myself this, I'm not gonna fight. I don't argue. I get too old. I don't want to argue. I'm not that old. I'm 38. But shit,
You're old enough.
I'm old enough.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure.
Um, the last thing I want to do is just argue. Let's figure it out. Take a break.
Yeah.
Regroup. Come back. I'll go to practice. Talk about it. I try not to go to bed upset at my wife. Right. Try not to go to bed. Do I? Fuck yeah. Okay. But I try not to.
Yeah,
Because that all affects my mood and how my next day is gonna go.
for sure.
Right. I'm all about right now maximizing my days with whatever I want to do. I play my saxophone for, I get to play my saxophone for 3, 4 hours during the day because of the job choice I chose. So when it's time to go to work, head down, go in the gym, check all your bullshit at the door, and go work. It's only what, hour and a half of your life? Same thing with lifting with Jordan. He was just on the last episode. Same thing with lifting with Jordan. It took me a while to get used to like enjoying it. I, I think I'm finding my groove there in the where I like it now.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I'm in there, head down, get the fucking work.
Yeah.
And again, you only got what, 2 hours of that, so we're looking what, 3, 4 hours a day. Maybe if I add something like a recovery session, 5 hours a day, that's not even a full work day. You tell me you can't spend 5 hours doing that? Working on your dream, something that you say you want to do. Like people always say all the time, like, what do you expect me to do? Like I had some friends that I was like, bro, make it happen. I had a buddy, Billa, tell me a long time ago, bro, you need to just go ahead and quit that job, bro, and chase your dream. I was like, bro, I can't, my family. He was like, bro, you want to know why you ain't made it yet? I said, why? He goes, because you got that fucking security blanket back there. He goes, leave your fucking job. He goes, it's going to make you figure it out.
Sure.
Period.
100%.
And when I took the severance and, luckily I got paid to do mine, but I still felt like I didn't have shit to do. It took me a lot of years to figure out how to fill my time with the right things. So, short story shorter, gentlemen. I'm here. I'm in a great place. And this may be the most dangerous I have felt in a long time. So, bringing that violence to game bread. Truly. I'm going to get my hand raised. Period.
Pumped to see it. And I guess the last thing that I wanted to ask, and I think just to kind of how we talked about this journey that you've had, because you've mentioned a lot of people that you met along the way. And one thing that I always tell my students, I mean, this is an individual sport. A lot of times you're not going to finish with the same people you started with. So in terms of the room that you've earned your way into now, how does it feel like that this is the group that might be the one that you're finishing with? As you said,
this is the group I'm finished with. Period.
Yeah.
I think
because you never forget the people you mentioned, that you started with.
I pretty much started with Brock Larson.
Right, but
still call him to this day.
But the finish line.
It's
going to be a different group.
Yep. And you evolve though, right?
Yes.
The one good thing for me is, and I will say this about Brock Larson, and a lot of coaches do not like him. He knew that it was going to come a day when I outgrew our gym in our little gym in Minnesota. Um, and he was okay with that. He helped me figure out where to go. When I went to that new gym, he came out for my camp and he was a part of it. So like, and that doesn't happen at a lot of gyms. You go when you start leveling up and go to other gyms, your coach like, man, you know. But he told me, he said, Mo, I was in the UFC, I was a fighter, and I was a coach. He goes, I'm gonna tell you from a fighter standpoint. In this game of MMA, you have to do what's best for you and yours, and you can't feel bad when you know it's time for you to flap your wings. And I've always held on to that. You know, I was training at Mark Montoya's out of Factory X for a while. I trained a little bit. I've trained a little bit everywhere. I haven't been to Thailand yet, though.
Yeah, we must have just missed each other at Factory.
We must have.
Yeah.
I fought.
Because I was there, let's see, I think it was before I moved out to Hawaii. It was, when was this? 2020, 2020. I think it was, yeah, it was during the COVID time. So.
You came after me then.
Yeah, must have been, because it was once, like after the COVID shutdown is when I went. So we must have like swapped places almost.
Yeah, we did because I was there. I remember Mark Montoya telling us, hey, listen, they're going to shut shit down. These motherfuckers are going to get soft. We need to keep our foot on the gas. So Mark Montoya told us. Mark Montoya dropped a lot of gems. I appreciate the time I had with him. I just don't like him. Yeah, he just didn't talk to me how, like,
yeah.
I'm a grown man, Mark Montoya. You can't talk to me like I'm one of your 22-year-old fucking students.
Right.
Fuck that. But his program, it's a great program over there, right? It's a very structured, good program over there. But when they started shutting down the borders, I looked at him and said, hey, I gotta go. He goes, Mo, what do you mean you're not gonna stay? You know, and train? I said, nah, bro. Listen, I'm gonna go. If my kids and my family get COVID, I'm getting COVID with their ass. Okay? So I drove home 14 hours. Then I got a call when I was at home to fight Jean Vellante.
So your family was still in Minnesota at this time?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And I would travel. I'd drive the 14 hours to Colorado, stay there for 6 weeks, drive 14 hours home, fly and fight.
That's wild. Because I used to feel not bad for myself. Not bad for myself. I was like, because I was driving to Colorado from here back and forth to see my daughter. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
You were going to Minnesota and back.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. But I feel like
So I went home, and I would have stayed at Factory X too. But when I went home, you know, shit, I needed money. You know, sometimes when you fresh in the UFC, you don't make a whole lot. You know, I made $20,000. You know, 20% gone plus tax gone. There's no extra perks. You know, it's almost like they give you just enough to get a couple months and be like, oh, I need to keep you hungry. I get it, and I had to fight. I had to feed my family, so I take the fight against Jean Vellante. Mark got mad that I wasn't about to drive 14 hours. Said, I'm gonna figure it out here. He said, you might as well just not come back. I said, bet. Nigga, bet. Say less. You don't even got no, for one, you ain't got no heavyweights for me to train with.
So I was just thinking that. I was like,
bro, they ain't got no heavyweights.
Dustin's, what is he?
He's a light heavyweight.
Yeah. So
he's a light heavyweight. I had Chris Camozzi at the time.
Yeah, and Chris wasn't there when I got there, so he must have left the same time he
Yep.
Anthony Smith was there and not there.
But that's what we had.
Yeah.
You know, and Anthony Smith he was in there when he wanted to be in there.
Yeah.
He wasn't in there grinding with me, right? I had Josh Fremd.
Yes.
Right?
I like Josh.
He's
Josh
an 85er.
Yeah, he's a nice
cool
guy.
cat.
Yes.
Listen, I got a lot of guys at Factory X.
Was Cody Brundage there when you were there?
No.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
No, I don't know him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there, even when I was like just that short time, like I was trying to think, there wasn't really any heavyweights. Like I mean, Dustin was probably the biggest guy.
Yeah. I knew me and Curtis fought in the amateurs in Chicago, so I knew Curtis, and I wanted to go train with Curtis. But Mark Montoya said he got to come to our gym, the fourth ranked heavyweight in the world, and you won't let me go train with him? To have your heavyweight get better when you don't have heavyweights for me to train with?
Yeah, say less.
So it was a good move. It was good. You know, I wasn't about to move to Colorado. It was too expensive. It just wasn't going to happen. You know,
but still part of the road.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, So I take the fight against John Vellante. He told me I can't come. I reach out to Juan Adams. Juan talks to Coach Wink. On a whim, I drove me and my wife and my kids drove 21 hours straight. Finished a 3-week fight camp. Went out and beat John Vellante. Went back home in July, packed our whole house, and moved here right before school started, August 2020. And that's how I ended up here. In year 5, here we are. Yeah.
Yeah, I met you a few months after that then.
Yeah?
You hadn't been here that long. I thought you had been here for a while.
Nope.
Yeah, because I think it was...
I met you in John's garage when we started training, right?
We had a few sessions at Wink.
At Wink, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we had a few sessions there. So you must have been a few months here.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that. That was when I came back. And then we trained
in John's during COVID.
Yeah.
Trained with John. I was like, dude, this guy looks scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Shit. But then you talk to nice as hell,
And don't get me wrong. I don't like to talk shit about like fighters and stuff. But I'm just telling you guys my experience. I'm sure Mark Montoya is a great guy. To other people, they really look up to him and all that stuff. To me, I wish him the best. Chris Camozzi, solid. Solid. Dustin Jacoby, solid.
Dustin's a nice ass dude.
Cool cat, man. Cool cat.
Nasty front kick though.
All of his kicks.
I used to hit, so sometimes I love the sparring days there, but then obviously I'm a smaller guy and he wouldn't put it on me, but like he would hit me with that front kick and I'd be like,
Yeah, the training there is great. I like the fact that he does 2 team practices, strength conditioning. There's a couple different times where the team goes. Yeah, Landau's.
Landau's. Huh? No, I said Lando's.
Lando's.
Sorry, Landon.
But
not your house.
Lando Banana.
Well, man, it's a great dynamic, And if I was younger, and it probably would have worked really well for me. My nephew wants to be a world champion, and he's starting his journey now, and he's 22, 23, and he asked me. Uncle, what should I do? And I told him, you need to take your ass to a big box gym. You want to make it. It's different now. It's different nowadays. Go, hey, you ain't got no kids. You ain't got no responsibilities. He's getting ready to finish in college, get his degree. Go to ATT. Go to Killcliff. Go to Mark Monto. Go out to Factory X. They got a great dynamic out there. It didn't work for me. That doesn't mean it won't work for him. You know what I mean? Didn't work for me. Doesn't mean it won't work for him. So,
you got to be in a place. And correct me if I'm off on this, but you got to be in a place where you can be the bottom of the totem pole for a bit. You know what I mean? Like a group large enough with different experience levels. Yes. When I came here, I was the bottom. Look for the bottom of the totem pole. That's kind of how I've tried to get better. Because every gym I go to, like if everyone can beat my ass, I'm in the right spot.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're whooping everybody, it's time to go. There's what do they say it all the time. You need 3 types of training partners. You need somebody you're better than, and one you can compete with, and you need ones that are better than you, right? So I can see all this training, where am I at with the guy that's at my level, so I can try out new things, right? That I may not do against the guy at my level because I'm gonna get hit, but the guy who's new, I can try some of that little bit of crazy stuff to see how I have to adjust it to work. And then the guys who are just better than you, you just see how much closer you're getting to being able to compete with those guys, right? Just from when you sit back and it's not like I need to win. No, it's you're assessing what's going on and you're being honest with yourself. Like, where am I good at? Where are my what are they called? My opportunities to get better. Like, I know mine. I'm real with it. I know. I'm not gonna tell you, motherfuckers. But I know mine, and it's. I work on little things every day. Every day it's something little. Like, right, I'm gonna do my last sparring session tonight. I already know what I'm trying to accomplish in my sparring session. It has nothing to do with anybody else in the room. I have a goal that I'm trying to accomplish, and every time I go to practice, especially sparring, it's always a little different. What I want to work on, what I want to try to hit you with more. If I have a hard time hitting you with it, what adjustments do I have to make? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think the nice thing about MMA is even the greatest still practice the basics
All day.
because you'll lose it. Right? You get so good if you don't practice, if you don't keep it simple, stupid. You know, you start missing out on. Now you're gonna get hit with those things that you didn't get hit because your defense was tight. But because now your defense got loose because you won a little bit. You got to keep all those your foundation tight. You got to keep working on your foundation, or you will lose it. You know, it won't be as like uh, right in front of my head.
Second nature.
It won't be second nature. No, because you're not practicing it because you think you can always do
Right.
that, right? So that was a big balance for me with training. I was pretty good at striking, so I'd work on wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't strike as much. Well, then we come back to striking, you're like, damn, why do I feel that stuff behind? Because you haven't been sharpening that blade. You created the blade. The blade was kind of sharp. You could have sharpened it more, but you went to go create a whole nother blade because you needed that aspect of MMA. But you didn't keep sharpening this one. So now we got two blades that are dull. So now I got to go back and sharpen them both. If that makes sense.
100%.
So, yeah, man, MMA changed my life. This whole MMA, and regardless of me never being a world champion or whatever, MMA changed my life for the better. So I'm always grateful for the sport of mixed martial arts. And I wasn't even an athlete growing up. My brother was a D1 football player. I was just a big dude that they thought was gonna be good. So, yeah, it's Crochet Boss in a nutshell.
Real quick, just to finish off, if you can tell us about who's that person that believed in you, that first person that believed in you. Obviously, you have to believe in yourself, but that first person that kind of
Not
pushed you.
necessarily. There might have been someone before. Like there's someone before. I believed in myself.
Yeah.
That believed in me.
Yeah, I feel the same in
Yeah.
different areas of my life. As far as
Yeah,
MMA
I
goes.
don't want to tear up.
Do it, dog.
I'm a crier. It's real bad.
I'm crying here with the
I got a
dog.
heart. But I'm gonna be heartless on the 15th. Just know that. I think the first person to actually look at me and like, yo, I'm proud of you. I had a business partner for monkey business decor. His name is, they called him Johnny Bravado. He went to Columbia College. He passed away. Rest in peace, Johnny Bravado. But he had a mixtape called Swagger Kings, and he ran it around Chicago. Had all our dope ass mixtape. We split up as business partners because he was a little older than me, and I was just making dumbass mistakes with the brand. He was like, I can't do it. I've already made these mistakes. I can't do it. I got love for you though. Now I was big and fat at the time, and then fast forward like 3-4 years later, he sees me skinny fighting, and he goes, Mo, shit, you did a 360. I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of what you got. I can't wait to see you get to the UFC one day. I think that was probably the first person that really believed in me. Family, they want to see you do well, but they're almost like your biggest, like when you're doing well, they're like, yeah. When you lose a couple fights, you're like, okay, so when you gonna get a job? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you gonna get a job? See, I still hear that to this day. When you gonna get a job? And it's like, no, this is the job. This is the goal. I give up a lot to do it. And it's tough sometimes, right? Because you're not always making money in this game. So you got to stay active. Sometimes it's hard to stay active because of injuries, But I would say Johnny Bravado was the first person to believe in me. I remember I told my homeboys I was going to fight. They're like, don't get knocked out. Shit.
Who's that? Who was that? Shout him out. I know who it is.
My homeboy Bill and JC, they're like, nigga, don't get knocked out. We're going to come watch you fight and shit.
But I think they were coming from a place of love, though.
It was coming from a total place of love.
For sure.
Total place of love.
Yeah.
And then they turned into my supporters for fucking.
They were
Still, to this day. And I'm grateful for that. Billy used to come and corner me.
Yeah.
He served no purpose from a combat sports, but for my comfort,
100%.
fight week, I'm around my homie.
Yeah.
Hey, he already know how to get down. He know how to fade in the back. He knows when he got to be present. You know what I mean? Kind of like Romo corners me too, and good at it as well. Chilling like so. I'm grateful, man. Now I'll be honest with you. I don't do a whole lot these days, man. Nor do I want to. I'm totally content with being by myself in my own thoughts and figuring it out. You know, I got a couple friends to talk to. You know, I got a couple guys to talk to. As I gotten older, less is more, man. Less is more. You know, my body only feels good because less is more for me. That's it. Going back to why we're here, getting ready to fight. I didn't know after my last fight if I was actually going to fight again. I thought about retiring. You know, something told me like, damn, I can't. You know, I can know, but I can't retire off getting fucking starched. You know, and my wife was like, no, you can. I was like, yeah, but no, I can't. But I did think about just, you know, chasing acting but then opportunities come up and I never stopped really training. And when John came back and we were back to it after his injury, you know, I took some time off too. And he booked a fight. I think I was sitting in the car. Me and John, it was right after practice. We were just sitting in the car having a conversation with one of the other teammates real quick. And I looked at him, I said, bro, I'm gonna take a fight before the end of the year. And at the time I didn't believe it, really, you know. But I was like, you know what? If I say this out loud, I'm gonna have to do it or I'm a liar.
That's real.
That's why I said it out loud. If I would have kept it to myself, I probably wouldn't be fighting right now. I probably wouldn't have signed.
Right.
But I said it out loud. I was like, I'm gonna fight before the end of the year. And this opportunity came up, and I was like, I think Chase is a great fight. Um, my goal is to go body this motherfucker and then call my shot. You know, for Junior. Period. Period. Because it's, you know, I fight for different things now. Before it was like to make money and nah, man. I fight because I love it. You know, I fight because it keeps me in shape. You know, I'm not one of the guys that's gonna go and like spend all my time at a gym. I'm just not that guy. You know, but while I'm fighting, it keeps me in the gym. You know, because I know, let's even if I don't want to go, like even going to Jordans, if I don't want to go, I'm gonna cheat myself, right? Or when I'm there and I'm doing my workout and conditioning come, ain't nobody there but me and the guy I work out with. He's not even a fighter. He's just one of my daughter's friends, dads. I'm friends with Brian. Me and him are real good friends. I don't walk out in the conditioning because I'm not I'm not getting over on Jordan by saying I didn't do it. No, you're just cheating yourself. And you're gonna feel it fight night when you're wondering why you're fucking sucking for air. You know? So I do those rounds and I'm happy doing them, even though they suck and I know they're gonna suck in swimming. I know it sucks. But I do that because when fight night comes, and we go down to Biloxi and we go down to that sea level and I'm gonna be ready to put on a show for 15 minutes. And I'm willing to bet it's not gonna last that long. You know, he's getting fucked up. Not somebody's getting fucked up. He's getting fucked up. And that comes from a place of confidence. No disrespect on his side. I got no shit to talk about him. You know, he earned all the accolades that he'll get. But this is just not one that I feel like he's going to get, unfortunately. He's going to have to take this lesson. And I know he feels the other way, but that's what makes it a fight, right? So,
will. Right.
We're ready.
Yeah. Did you guys see that Dave Chappelle last skit?
Which one?
The Dreamer. So there's one thing, it relates just to this. So I think one of the coolest things he talks about is that at the end of the day, whoever's dream is more powerful in that minute, that moment. That's who's going to win.
The one thing I
You
like
being
about
confident in yours.
the one thing I like about MMA and just combat sports, period, you can we've seen it several times go the other way. It doesn't fucking matter what the paper looks like when you look at the matchup, right? It doesn't matter. Oh damn, he got this many. No, it matters the guy who shows up that night, the most prepared, right? Not just prepared though. You could be prepared and not pull the trigger. It's that guy that's prepared and goes and executes that game plan and sticks to that game plan, even when you want to get off the tracks. You know, with Hennon, I jumped off the tracks. I thought I could make something happen. I paid for it. You know, I paid for it. And yeah, I had injuries going on, but at the end of the day, I took the fight thinking I could beat him in my current state, right? Um, the thing I like about MMA is you got a chip in a chair. That's what it's like. I used to play poker. Right? You got a chip. If you're in the arena, if you're the man in the arena, you got a chip in a chair. You got 15 minutes to do something special. You got 15 minutes to inspire maybe somebody sitting in the crowd who, you know, has been thinking about it, but they don't know. And they see you and they're like, oh, shit, yeah. You got 15 minutes to make somebody feel that way. Maybe you don't. But again, everything's about perspective. Somebody's going to feel some type of way after we fight.
You'll always make an impact.
So, and I like the fact that I'm going to his home. I love being the bad guy. You know, it's way more pressure when you're fighting at home.
Yeah, because you're a conqueror.
Yeah, it's so much more pressure.
Yeah, there's times that you're a conqueror, and then there's the times where you got to defend the castle. It's a
Yeah.
completely different vibe.
Yes.
But being able to do both is fun. I feel
Yeah.
the same way. I love being the conqueror. I love going out places.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes I do like fighting here when it comes around, but
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
just
kind of
don't like
force
fighting at
myself into it, you know, because at first I didn't.
Oh yeah.
But having both,
Yeah.
you know,
That's something I got to work on. See,
Oh.
that's an opportunity for me. You know, my hands just got clammy thinking about that.
'cause who knows what's next? Like you said, there might be a show where you get to fight for something big, and your family's here, and you get to be in that room, and you're defending your castle now.
Yeah, no, I think those are the toughest fights.
For sure.
Hey, it wears on you a little mentally. Even if you say it don't,
Right.
I know it does. You find it at home, okay? But no, it's gonna wear on me too. My son's gonna be there, right?
100%.
So for me, right, I want my son to see his dad go out here and show the fuck out. Period.
100%.
Period. It's the first time being there. Like there and knowing what's going on. Well, I'm gonna give everything I got. Every bit of me. Right? Every bit of me will go into next Friday night. And then we'll see the fruits of that labor.
Excited.
But that's enough talking about it. You guys understand what I feel about it, and now it's just time to go out and be free, man. It's the only time I'm free. It's the only
Yes.
time I'm free.
Best.
When it's me, the opposition, and the ref in there. Can't nobody save you at that point. That goes for me and him. Can't nobody save us. The only person gonna save him is the ref. You know, and can't nobody save you. We there. There's a reason why we all do the combat sports. You know, we're team players, but we're not team players. You know, we love all the glory when you win. I do. Fuck, it's an ultimate high. You know, I remember I was the first fight on the Minneapolis card, and I fought Junior Albini. Showed the fuck out. Ended up TKO in the second round. I'm home. My kids are front row. They were small too. My kids are front row watching. The crowd goes fucking nuts because there's not a lot of people there for the first fight. In Minnesota, it was full. It was packed. And I won in Minnesota. It was fucking. I think nothing really topped that fight for me yet. Going out and getting this dub is gonna top all of that. My mindset different. I'm fighting for different things. You know, my love for the game has come back. You know, I'm a student again. And you know, maybe this never happened to you, but for me, it goes up and down. Sometimes you don't want to be a student, right? But somehow you end up back in it. You know, Like, I fought not because I'm a fighter and I grew up fighting and I'm tough. No, I fought because I had an opportunity. I said yes, and it worked out. I didn't grow up doing. I didn't grow up. I thought these motherfuckers was crazy. You couldn't pay me enough to let somebody whoop my ass. But then you start training like, man, this motherfucker ain't about to beat my ass. You know, and that's where my competitive nature came later on in life. So yeah, I'd like to end my career with a string of wins, and hopefully, my goal is to end up back in the UFC so I can retire there at some point, if we get there. Well, maybe we won't. You know, right now, not to jump ahead of myself because I'm not going to, but right now I'm just focused on Chase. Nothing happens if I don't. Nothing happens if you don't get the W.
It's been an inspiration to just listen to your story, and I know we could talk about this forever, and I'd love to, and I hope to continue to have these conversations. But just hearing all the different aspects and places that you've been is an invaluable in terms of time and lessons learned. So thank you for being here, man, and super inspired.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate and we'll definitely be tuning in, and we're gonna get this done.
Yeah, we are. It's Crochet Boss. Make sure you tune in November 15th, live on YouTube for the free ski Game Bred Bare Knuckle MMA in Biloxi, Mississippi. I believe it's at the Golden Nugget Casino. A lot of violence. I'm gonna get fucked up a little bit. He gonna get fucked up a lot of bit. I'm gonna get my hand raised. We all gonna be happy after.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Shin Deep, episode 3 with Maurice Greene. Appreciate you. See you next time. Peace.